Okay, I guess it's 9 o'clock. All in favor, let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order here. We'll look at the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of additions, if I may. Under number 2, consent agenda auditors warrants, please strike the 1/10 of 2020 auditors warrants and change the date to 1/13 of 2020, please. Sandy didn't have a batch for Friday, so I didn't have one for that. Under number 3, please add an additional commissioners warrants batch. You have that in front of you this morning for 1/13 of 20, $45,867.54. Under Nick Bergman at 905, please add Highway 23 proposed resolution to MnDOT. Got some information that I want to share, and we can go over that together. And committee reports are on the bottom, so that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
No, Mr. Chair, I'll move the agenda as amended.
Second.
Dan and Chris, second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. 9:05, Nick. It's really only 9 according to the clock, but that's okay.
I'm ready now, so we can go now.
Good.
All right, first up for me today will be project updates. The first update I have is on the first page. It's 2019 overlay project. We have all the final paperwork in now for that. So a little bit later here, we can approve final payment on that. The next update I have is the second project on the second page. It's our County Road 13 widening job, and we are ready to set a letting date on that. So that's coming up a little later this morning too.
Question.
Yes.
On the Indian Lakes deal, it says set a letting for February. Is that still something that's going to happen, or state recommended letting in February?
Oh, probably looking at March, but there's nothing special about February. It was just waiting
Because of
a
the
little while
pricing.
after the first of the year till they get the bituminous pricing locked in.
Sure.
I think I'd asked them about January, and I thought, that's pretty early. I'd wait till at least February. So, yeah, there's nothing magical about February. It's just wait a little while into the year. So don't be too early, I guess.
Sure.
All right, so my next item is a request for board action, and it's to approve final payment to Central Specialties Incorporated out of Alexandria. It's for our 2019 overlays. The final payment amount is $46,745.51. As you'll see, it's about $35,000 over the original contract amount, and that's because when we were out there, after we got everything cleaned off, we found some spots that are a little more broken up than what I wanted to see, so we paved a little thicker over them. So it's some extra bituminous, and then paving thicker, then you need more shouldering on the side. So so that's what brought that on. And we asked them to do it, they just didn't do it, so we knew that was coming.
Okay,
Move to approve.
okay, last
Second.
motion. Luke, okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Next up, I have a request to set a letting date for project SAP 059-613-015. That's our County Road 13 widening project. I'd like to open bids on that at February 11th. at 10:30 a.m.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we set the letting date then for Highway 30,
13.
13 for February 11th at 10:30.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
The next item I have, every year we have what we call a road and bridge hearing. We invite people in from the public to get an overview of what we've done last year and what's coming up. So I'd like to do that again. Looking back the last few years, it's typically been held the last week in February or the first week in March. Looks like every year it's been scheduled at 9 a.m. It seems to work fine for me, so I'd probably recommend sticking with that if that works for everyone else.
There's been some pretty good attendance at that whenever I've been there. I
Yeah,
thought it was-
we usually get a-
People concerned and interested in what's going on, so I think it's one of the better meetings that,
Probably.
for, community type meeting.
Yeah, weather can affect it. If it's really bad out, it's not.
I think we postponed last year, if I
We
remember right.
postponed last year, but in other years, if
Yeah.
it's nice out, you seem to get a few more, but.
Do you want to pick a date, or you just want to have this
Any-
open area?
I looked at my calendar, and at any date between, I think, February 24th is a Monday, and I think March 5th is a Thursday. I have a meeting on March 6th, but any date in there I can make work, so I gave you guys a range to see what worked well for everyone else.
I have a board meeting on the 25th.
Let's go on Monday, the 24th.
Or the
CPT.
or the second.
24th?
T, got that?
Wednesday, 26th?
Yeah, we could try Wednesday. Well, that doesn't work out for me.
No, that's legislative conference.
Oh, that's right. 27th.
Well, Monday, March 2nd.
That would work.
Or Tuesday, March 3rd, either way. So we
That's
won't
true, too.
meet till
Tuesday the 3rd
10.
would be fine. That was our old board meeting days. Probably have less going on, possibly, you guys.
Let's shoot for that, the
Tuesday,
3rd.
3rd? Yeah, that should work for me. I'm wide open.
Okay.
At the highway shop, Nick?
Yep, we'll have it in our conference room there. I'll have it set up with the projector on the wall and everything.
Unless it's a weather issue, then you'll have to
Yeah,
email them.
9 a.m., right?
yeah, so Tuesday, March 3rd at 9 o'clock a.m.
Mhm.
Okay, at the highway department.
You want a motion on that?
I think so.
Sure.
So moved.
Made the motion.
Second.
A second. All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
all right, we'll get that in the paper and everything. Okay, next item I have, it's a request to purchase some truck lift adapters. They go on our, if you remember those 4 large truck lifts we have that can pick a plow truck up in the air. The problem is when it has a wing on it, we can't get close enough to lift the back end up. Doing some homework on this, it looks like we had approval to purchase an adapter back on, it was budgeted for in 2017, and it was approved for purchase on December 12th of 17, but we never bought it then. If I remember right, I think we wanted to try it out or something. So since then, we have borrowed one from the DOT, and we like it, it works well, so we'd like to go ahead and purchase it. I wasn't sure how to handle this. I don't know if you necessarily need to approve it since it was already approved back then, but being it was 2 years ago, I at least wanted to talk about it again. The only thing is, the old amount was actually about $100 more than this. It's like $4,250 or something, so.
It's under 5,000, you wouldn't have to, right?
No.
Okay, well, either way, you'd see the bill come in, so I kind of wanted to at least talk about it, but.
You can make a motion if you'd like, that's fine. Prove them
Yeah.
up.
I'll move that we approve the purchase of the adapter.
Okay, Dan?
Second.
motion, and Chris, okay, any other discussion?
The picture of it, Nick, is it quite a bump to get up over when you drive on it, or do you have to slide it under?
I didn't ask that, but I saw that too. It almost looks like it needs a ramp to
Yeah,
get there.
a little
but
wedge or something on there.
maybe that's with it and just not in the picture. I don't know.
With the tandem rear axle, you can't lift the
Handy.
whole, can you lift the whole truck with?
Yes.
Just lift one set of duals and it'll pick it up?
Yep. Yep. It'll lift it all. I know David talked about getting a second set or third pair, whatever you want to call it, on the
It
back
looks like
there.
it'd be a
But
pretty good jump to drive over it, but
Yeah.
maybe if you're moving slow enough, maybe just crawls right over it.
yeah, I didn't ask that,
It must
but
work okay.
they said they use it and that's all I needed, and it worked well, and that's all I needed to hear. So.
Yeah, on the inside it's tapered, but on the outside it's not.
Figure it out.
All I know is they've used them and they work well, so I loved it.
Did you wanna, okay, all in favor of the motion, right?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Next item I have, just more of an update, that pickup unit number 1, we got permission to sell a month or two ago. That is currently advertised on bid.dreamdirt.com. You can go on there and see for yourself if you'd like, or bid on it. The only issue we ran into, and I discussed this a little bit with the Road and Bridge Committee, is we can't put a reserve on it. I think it's because it's worth so little. So it could sell for as little as $100, I guess, technically. I don't think it's worth a whole lot myself. I think it's worth more than $100, but
This thing has a lot of miles on, doesn't it?
yeah, 147, I think. That's all listed on the website, but it's had a lot of driving around town and stuff, so they've been kind of short trips, which isn't that good for them, but, so if we want to just leave it at that and use word of mouth, to help advertise the website, that's fine. Otherwise, you can put it in the newspaper, but I don't know if we want to spend $400 trying to sell a $500 pickup, so.
Mr. Chair, Nick, have you checked into the local auction, the Livermont auction?
Yeah,
What are his terms?
he's selling it. He's a broker or whatever. So he's the one that put it on that website for us. You have to have a
Instead of just
license.
doing the live auction at his place, just attaching it to one of his other auctions, or is that?
He was apparently thought it'd be better to put it on this website than try to sell it up here.
Oh,
So,
I'll be able to reach more people.
yeah, I suppose that was the thought process behind it, but.
Didn't you say at the committee meeting that you had checked out this website before and it seemed to have some activity or?
Some, yeah. I've never used it myself, so I
Right.
can't speak too much to it, but it's on there. I check it every day, to look at it, but
So there are no other bids at this point?
no. But most of that stuff, it seems like nobody bids till the last day anyway.
You're right.
So I didn't really expect a whole lot. I'd like to see it. I'd have felt better if it was at like $500 already and go up a little bit in the end, but whatever, so.
It's probably like on eBay. I mean, there's a lot of things that, you get minimal action at the beginning just because people are watching.
Yep.
And then in the last 30 seconds is when all the activity occurs.
Just, yeah, exactly, yep.
They don't want to tip their hand too soon or.
Do we have
Okay.
to auction this kind of stuff, or can we just put it on Craigslist? Could just put it on there and put $2,500 on it, and then some guy offers you $1,500, you can take it.
I don't know
Board
how
could
that,
authorize however you want to sell it any way you want to. Craigslist, eBay, whatever. Bill has gotten rid of stuff on eBay for the county before. You just listed as surplus property and let the departments figure out how the best way to
Kind
get
of
rid of it.
control, if somebody gets it for $100, it's a little bit.
what have we done in the past? Did we ever sell any out at the fairgrounds? We had our other surplus auction sales?
since I've been here, I remember selling one unsealed bids. Everybody just turned in an envelope and we opened them up just like a
done that
regular bid opening. And I remember one, the sheriff's department had a bunch of whatever impounded vehicles or
Yeah.
whatever that they were selling. We sold a pickup with that out at the fairgrounds. So those are the other ways I've seen it, but.
When you get something like that, you have enough vehicles, it makes sense to try to do it, but if you got a onesie, it's,
Right.
it doesn't really pay to try to do that, and you spend a lot of money advertising on it.
Okay, well, I'll just,
If you got something really good, there's nothing wrong with doing a sealed bid, like we've done in others, and put it in the paper. I mean, if you got a, you know, $3,000-$4,000 truck or something, trying to get rid of it.
$100 truck.
Yeah, this is,
I guess that's why I thought Livermont would want to do it at his auction, his live auction, but he thought this would be a better avenue, huh?
yes,
then he'll
yeah.
get his, what, to get 18%, something
I-
like that on there? I'm not sure exactly. He gets a percent of the sale anyway, too.
Doug talked with them, so I don't know.
He felt this was the best way.
Yeah, I let Doug set that up. I didn't have
Well,
any
it's okay to
conversation.
try this and see how it works
Yeah,
out.
heck
If it
yeah.
doesn't work out, we do something different next time, so.
Right, this is a good one to try it on, because
It's
this will
not a
be.
really valuable
Exactly.
vehicle, it's just a matter of,
Yep. Okay, well, I'll just, word of mouth spread it, and maybe we can, maybe we'll find a spot on our website or something to put it on too,
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have it on the county website.
county website, yep. Okay, sounds good, we'll try that.
Have a direct link right to the item.
Yeah, if we can, I don't know how all that
I think
works.
you can,
Bill would be able to do that, so.
yeah, Bill could figure it out.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't, but. Okay. Last item I have would be just some maintenance updates. Spent about 2 weeks in the last month working on snow and ice. Did dirt work at the pit until it froze up. We've installed some snow fence, we've done some cold mix patching, and then did some tree work, got some trees back, so that's maintenance updates for us. And then Steve, you wanted to talk about that 23?
Yes, please.
thank you.
Chair, the one that's got the shaded areas, those are Nick's comments on it. Luke had put this together, Mr. Johnson did, and shared it with Nick. He came up with some ideas. And then the second one doesn't have the markups on it. That's what I put together the last couple of days, just trying to bring it together a little bit. Just like to bring it forward, to have the board take a look at it, see if we can wordsmith it a little bit, so anything we should take out, add in, something that's not clear, just to get kind of group effort on that. Luke, is that okay?
Sure, that sounds great. I was just wondering, do you have any more information as far as how we could include some of that information on the road damage from the projects, or, I suppose they don't even have data like on the ag hauling and any of that, or? We know that they don't take it into account, because they pretty much acknowledged that when they visited with us
Right.
not so long ago.
I've never been part of anything like this before, so I don't really have any experience saying like, well, this is the best way to do it, you know?
Right.
I just sat down that one afternoon trying to think of it from every angle I could and just added, comments I could there, maybe, spark a good idea for somebody else, but we did look up the money we've received for our roads for damage from the wind towers, and so I know that number's right, but that's what we've seen from wind towers in the last 2 years, so.
Question I have, and I don't know the answer is, does the state get road damages?
I don't know.
I mean, that, or it's just part of the tax dollars, federal and state, that pay for it when the wind towers and the tubes and run over it, and I don't know if they have agreements with the state or not.
I've never asked, so I have no idea.
I don't know if the state requires it when don't they have to have permits because some of the stuff's overweight?
I would sure think so.
Wait, they would have some permits and highway patrol escorts sometimes, so
Right,
there's state
exactly.
involvement in some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so.
I mean, obviously they're aware of it, but I don't know if they make them pay for it.
I believe the state charges for their moving permits, so if they charge, they should be getting their road damage that way, I
For it,
guess,
huh?
so.
Between that and tax money, we're getting
Yeah, I would,
we're getting paid.
in my mind, they would be getting it, but I've never asked anybody to confirm that, I guess.
Well, I don't have a problem doing it. Do we need a-
But I mean, if you're getting that much for that, it's a relatively short period of time while they do these, well, smaller projects in our area. I mean, obviously you start adding in all the other projects that are in counties around us, but they're using the same highway. You know, Lincoln County's had quite a few going in recently. You know, I'm sure there's some that are just passing through, going to areas not even in our region. And then in addition to the ag hauling on a regular basis, you certainly,
So the state, I believe, I've never applied for a permit, but it's my understanding that you just hop online, you enter this diagram of your truck and where you're starting and where you're going to, and it calculates it all and says, this is what you owe us for your permit.
oh, really?
So, so if they permitted every load, the state would be compensated for that, unless there's something,
Okay, so they actually charge based on where you're going.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yep, yep. 'Cause- Well, that's what it looks like to me, because sometimes when somebody will ask for a permit from us, I'll ask for a axle weight and spacing diagram to look it over, and they'll just send me their state permit.
Because I suppose also they're checking to make sure that whatever bridges you cross are capable of handling the
Yep,
load.
and that's what I'm looking at too, like,
Right.
well, I'm not gonna send something over a posted bridge, or,
Right.
120,000 pound load might be good for a 10-ton road, but then you got that regular bridge in the middle of it, and like, well, that's not made to handle that, so we need to look into that some more, so.
Right.
But it's usually weird dollar amounts on those state permits, so that leads me to believe they're charging by the mile.
Well, I'm sure if the state of Minnesota thinks there's revenue somewhere, they'll be charging it.
Yeah, good point.
They have been touting a surplus, so.
But those trucks are long too, you know, the front of the tractor goes over, and then the driver wheels, and then the trailer wheels are 75, the front's over the bridge before the back end gets to the bridge.
And that's something we take into consideration when permitting over our structures.
Spread out quite a
Yeah,
ways.
how much is actually on the bridge at one time?
Right. Well, we've got a resolution here. Do we want to make a motion to do it?
Any changes to it? I mean, I've shared it and shared it back to Commissioner Johnson on it, and just, I kind of
It'd be nice,
wordsmithed it, cleaned it up a little bit more and that type of thing, so.
would be nice if we could get that data on what we're
Yeah, just-
hauling locally and. But
We maybe, I don't know, do you have time later? We just wordsmith it a little, or,
If you want to get together after the meeting,
yeah,
yeah, I can. I think I'm free all day.
I guess we don't have to send it today. If you want to wait
No,
till
that's
next
fine.
time, we can.
Discussion.
I mean, there's nothing gonna happen right away anyway.
right.
If you want to look at it again and bring it back, that's fine.
This is your first view of it, so this is fine. I just want to get it in front of your faces today
Sure.
and take a look at it since Nick was here. Good discussion time.
Would you have time to do that, Chris?
after the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be out of here pretty quick. It won't be
Yeah,
a long
that's what I'm
meeting.
thinking.
Yeah, I'll stick around here.
I'll stick around.
and Wait till.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
that'd be good. Thank you.
Sounds good. Anything else for me today?
So let's call that.
That's all I had.
No action on that.
So just one comment, you guys been doing a great job on the roads.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully it's a little better year than last year.
Oh, well, hitting them hard early. And
But we're just getting started.
We're just getting started, yep.
Okay, well, thanks, Nick.
All right.
And, then Steve, do you wanna? About the ARCA search?
You bet. Yes, I do. I think I'd like to do the IT purchase first. Mary Ann DeGroat, recorder, was going to come down for this, so I'd like to wait for her for a couple minutes for that, if I may.
You wanna take a 10-minute break?
We could do that, too.
Okay, let's just take a 10-minute break and then we'll be back at
Sounds good.
9:34.
Sure.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back in order here. I think Steve wanted to talk about the ARCA search,
Yes.
digitizing proposal.
Mr. Chairman, you remember I brought this back a year ago. It didn't make the budget that time. And since that time, I've had conversations with Recorder Mary Ann DeGroat, and she has been gracious enough to let us use the Recorder's Compliance Fund to fund the project. So the way this works now is not coming out of any specific budget. It's paid for by fees. Correct, Mary Ann? So, and this is she believes it's a good way to use this, and it's for our records for the county. We don't have backups for our commissioners' records at this time. You're all aware of that. And this will take it back to basically from the handwritten records. Now, the handwritten records will not be able to be searched as like on OCR where you have that optical character recognition, but the records will be there for somebody to view if they want to go back in history and just start reading through it and take a look at it. So really, there wasn't a whole lot of changes to the pricing that Mr. Frank presented. Matter of fact, this goes back to actually when Sharon was still here. He'd come and talk to the board about this. Total cost that we're looking to do is $17,419, and what that'll do will take care of all our commissioners' records from 1879, which are handwritten, and then we'll also take pictures of all of our typed records, and that will all be put into the Eclipse system. So that'll take us, we can do this up to current, actually. There are 20 images of courthouse building plans from loose blueprints that we want to get scanned and make sure those are taken care of, because the paper copies don't last forever, and having digital copies, those will be good. There are at least 25 loose railroad maps that the Auditor Treasurer's Office uses, and there are also 1,500 old ditch records that the Auditor Treasurer's Office has as well, that there are no backups for that as well, and the ditches go back to the early 1900s. So having those digitized for us will make sure we have those for history. And then the other thing we have is there are 30 city plat maps, and they're getting aged. They're in a plastic film. Right now they're sitting on a rack down in the Prime West area. I remember, Mary Ann had those for years, and the assessor's office used them for 2, and they're drawn on and have property information on it. So we want to get those scanned as well, because they're not going to last forever either. So that's what that's the plan anyway. And ARCA Search will come here to do the project. They will not be sent out. David Frank was here a few weeks ago. We toured the courthouse and found it looked like the best room to do it would be the auditor's conference room, where they could set up for like a week at a time. They might have to make a couple trips down, but that'll be fine. They would get in here and get it done, so we don't have to send our records up to their office up in be the Henderson area, Rockville, up in that area. Time would take about 10 weeks from the start, and what our cost would be out of the budget would be the Eclipse part of it, which is the public facing. And that would be accessible from our website, and the cost for that is $14.95 per year. And the first year is included with the price of what we're doing. So years 2 on would be $14.95 a year, and recommend that that be paid out of the 0039 departmental budget to keep that going. So that is an ongoing fee, and I know the board sometimes doesn't like ongoing fees, but we've got to remember we're also doing this for the public too. The public has to come in and wants to go through the record books. We've got to have our staff take time, go in, find the books, sit with them, find the pages. If they want copies, then we have to go make copies of it. This way the public can do it from their home. If they want to make a print of it on their printer, do it in their jammies at home, and they don't have to worry about it. So it opens it up a lot easier for us to work.
I don't understand, the $14.95 per year, that's per year that they scan?
No, this is to use the online search of our records, of the commissioner's records.
Okay,
That's what that's for. Does that make sense? So once they digitize them, they will put all of those records on the Eclipse software program that ArcaSearch has. And then that's forward-facing, and you go to our website, click on Eclipse, and that'll take you to the minutes, and you're able to search years of minutes, whatever you want to do.
And you can search by word.
Word,
For the
date,
typed
name,
portions,
commissioner,
yeah, name or
anything you
whatever.
want. It's open-ended searching is what it is.
Or whatever.
So it allows the public, it's going to be going to a library for our records, commissioner's records. The maps will not be on there. This is only the forward-facing commissioner's records going back to the 1879s
so the $14.95,
per year. That's what we pay for the access to the people to look at our records.
$1,400?
$1,495.
Okay, that's where
per
I was
year.
confused, $1,400, okay.
No, $1,495,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, that $14.95 per year, is that fixed, or is this something every couple of years they're gonna propose a 1% increase, or?
No, it's fixed at this time. They haven't said anything about any increases.
So that's something we can
assume
budget
over
for.
time, probably, possibly, but.
And that's something we can easily budget for, moving forward.
Okay, Luke?
Does the project price for the scanning include the oversized documents? Because they list a maximum page size, and some of the maps and whatnot were larger than that.
If you look at the categories there, all the commissioners' records are mostly 8.5 by 14, some 10 by 16. Most are bound, pinned. They've looked at them, see what we've got. The courthouse building plans are approximately, 2 by 3. So those on page 3 is what I'm looking at. So they're pretty much going to be taken care of. They know the sizes of the records we have.
Right, well, that's why I was wondering, but on page 10 of this handout, it says the maximum page size is 15 by 23 inches, and otherwise they are billed at $9.50 per image. But I'm assuming that cost is built into the $17,419.
Correct. Yes, it's built into it. That's just their standard documentation is what they put on every contract. So they've already come in and on pages 2 and 3 are the jobs they're going to be doing, and they know, pretty much they know we've got approximately 13,040 images of commissioner images. We've got 20 images of building plans, 25 railroad maps, 1,500 ditch records, and about 30 maps. So they've already come in and done their count and investigated what we have here.
Then as we go forward, then with more documents then, are those new documents added as we go forward, or we're going to have a time when those are all captured and archived as well?
Right, we'll want to go forward as we move forward in years and give them the 2020 records, and then they'll scan those and get those in there too. So
And that's not part of this?
this is
15,000?
going backwards. So
Okay.
going forwards, we'll have some costs to keep going with it.
And we don't know what those costs are
Not
to
at this
continue to input information? Well, I can see where this is very, very valuable. It's like I said, we need to archive what we've got, and also we need to be able to retrieve it. And for $15,000 a year, I'm sure that we're going to save that just in time. What do we not, Mary Ann, just in finding things to be able to.
1,500.
Or 1,500, yeah, excuse me, 1,500 a year to be able to pull that up, so
Mary Ann, do you have any comments about it, or you're okay with it, or?
Presently $93,000.
Okay, so you've got plenty of funds available.
And then we usually take in anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So there's plenty of funds in there.
Okay.
I'm totally in agreement of this and support it presented.
Okay,
Thank you.
I can see even in-house where this would be more beneficial even for you, Steve, if you need to look something
Oh,
up.
absolutely, it'll help us all. I mean, you
It's
gotta
not only
look
for the
through old
public, but we're
records.
benefiting here as
Yep.
well.
It'll be benefit to all of us here,
Right.
including the public too, which is what we really want to have access to.
how soon would this start? I mean,
Within-
months
It'll
or
be
two,
within
or
10 weeks to do it. They'll be in sometime this year.
just schedule whenever?
They've got a lot of projects going on around the state, and
We don't
other
have any
states are
deadline
jumping
that
on
we
this.
want it done by, apparently, we're just
No,
gonna let them go.
we're not, just get it done this year is fine.
have you checked with Bill Folger that our existing software, of course, would integrate with this, but as we go forward, would there have to be more?
No.
No.
No, there's no issue with that at all. This is a basic, we don't run ArcaSearch, we don't run the Eclipse program. All we do is give access to it on the website.
Okay.
And we will also have on page 5 2 complete sets of all the PDFs, all the JPEG files, all the pictures, all the TIFFs on digital hard drives for us too,
For archive.
for archiving here, that we could hold off-site in a safe place too. So this is all, again, the other thing, look at this as disaster recovery too. So if we, heaven forbid, would have a fire and we lost those records, we would have nothing. And look at some of the counties and state governments that have had, historic floodings and have lost their courthouses and lost all their records. This is kind of cheap insurance to do to make sure we have our records backed up.
Mr. Chair,
And we have a funding source.
Chris,
I move that we approve the services with ArcaSearch.
motion to approve.
Yep, I'd like to second that.
Dan, second it. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Yep,
In
sure.
the motion, will you say that it'll be paid from the funds?
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Keep that in. Steve, you want to make that note
Yep,
in there?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Acknowledge your contribution for that, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Okay, then we have a antivirus subscription
Okay.
proposal.
Yep, Mr. Chairman and board members, Bill Folger is out today. He asked me to bring this forward. This is a renewal of our Sophos antivirus that we're using with all of our desktop units. He calls it Endpoint, which means it's our each one we have on our computers, and we've been using it since 2017. He recommends that we continue to use this as our Endpoint antivirus and web management tool. Spam and virus and malware is not getting any less. You can pick up, look at your phone any day. There's always something in there. Somebody's getting hacked. Somebody's always having a problem. It doesn't end. So we need to keep this going. So this would take care of all our desktop machines throughout the whole system. It would be 100 endpoint computers and 35 servers. His recommendation would be to go with Kudelski Security for $12,760.80 to be paid out of the 2020 IT budget, which was budgeted. This is a budgeted expense.
Is that the firm we were using last year as well, or is this a different company?
They're just providing the software. I don't recall if he bought it from CDWG last time or got it from Kudelski 3 years ago. I
Can't remember.
can't tell you that. It's also, the best price on it too is what he recommended, so recommendation is for $12,760.80.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we go along with our IT manager Folger's recommendation of the $12,760.80 for the 3-year contract for Endpoint.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I think we missed a motion on approving the consent agenda this morning. Or did you,
I thought we
Dan and
did.
Chris, do that?
Approve the regular agenda.
The regular agenda, not the
Okay,
consent.
we need to, I need a motion on the,
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
thank you.
Any personnel items today, Kathy? Okay. Nothing else, we can go to committee reports, I guess.
On December 5th, I attended the AMC Drainage Seminar. Robert Olson from Lincoln County gave a presentation on off-channel storage near ditches. There were other presentations on ordinary high water and other drainage issues. On the 7th, attended the annual meeting of the Pipestone County Association of Township Officers here. One thing to keep an eye out for is their state organization is seeking a larger share of the wind production tax, which they currently get a portion of, but they'd like more, which would mean we'd get less, so.
They get 20% now, Luke.
Right, they'd like half. On the 8th, Minnesota rural counties met prior to AMC. There were presentations on county-based purchasing and the ag economy. On the 9th, the research committee met with the extension committee to look at the U of M strategic plan for extension. And then the AMC Environment and Natural Resource Committee met. I was elected chair, and we reviewed resolutions and kept similar priorities to last year, the wetland banking, 404 assumption, and markets for recyclables. On Tuesday, the 10th, everyone adopted the AMC platform in full. And then on the 11th, they had their awards program and final discussions. On the 12th, Soil and Water District met and they approved the 2020 budget. On the 13th, we had, of course, a special budget meeting here where we did our final budget cuts. On the 17th, the hospital meeting occurred. On the 18th, the Highway 23 Coalition met. They approved the mission statement, citizens advocating for a 4-lane Minnesota Highway 23. And it was mentioned the 4th working paper on the District 8 freight study was complete, and they currently had 102 members. On the 20th, the AMC Environment and Natural Resource Chair and Vice Chair met with staff from Bowser, PCA, and DNR in St. Paul. A lot of interesting comments there. Just, I guess sometimes I'm still baffled by what some of the agencies are doing or not doing. Or last year I questioned them a lot about demo landfill permitting and why it was taking so long. And the one guy told me, he couldn't tell me how long it should take to get a permit, but it should be less than 10 years. And I'm thinking, well, yeah. And then this year, when I kind of tried to follow up on that, he said, well, we're focusing on new facility or, new sites first and, then renewals as a kind of afterthought. And then I asked some staff members and they said, well, there really aren't many new sites statewide, so I don't know why that would take much time. But it does make you wonder sometimes what's going on there. On the 31st, the Road and Bridge Committee met, and we talked about possibly trying out some tracking system for some vehicles, transferring some money from the municipal to the regular state aid accounts, exploring, some counties are making their own signs, and they were going to do some exploration of whether that'd be something we could look into. Possibly getting a summer helper. Talking about maybe using some wheelage tax money to upgrade some gravel roads in the future. And of course, selling that pickup. Then on January 2nd, Area 2 and RCRCA met. We reviewed the audit for Area 2 and otherwise pretty routine other activities there. On the 6th, Minnesota Rural Counties met. They had a presentation from an emergency management group that just talking about grants statewide, and they're trying to get a little extra money to, they haven't seen an increase in quite a long time. Margaret was there from the Transportation Alliance, gave her presentation on, trying to come up with some extra money for roads. And the group did a kind of approve of her plan to, try to support her plan to get some additional money for roads. On the 7th, of course, we had our organizational meeting here. On the 8th, District 8 land use, it's kind of quiet. They're still talking about that goat processing facility that's trying to get going. They keep moving, asking different counties if they'll allow it, but they keep giving so little detail that they won't, nobody's willing to permit it because they won't provide enough, concrete details. But they keep, at one point they were asking for 3 different sites and they were questioning, well, as hard as it is to permit one, why would you want to split it up between 3 sites, mostly in smaller towns and whatnot? And, there'd be water issues, of course, and luckily they haven't asked here yet. So. And then later, the Highway 23 Legislative Committee met and lined up some details for their Transportation Day at the Capitol, which will be on March 18th. and the DC fly-in, which is May 26th to 28th. On the 9th, the Soil and Water District met and just gave a couple of performance evaluations and paid out some projects. And then on 10th, the Minnesota Hospital Association Trustee Council met, talked about, various issues with the hospitals and whatnot, and what they did to get ready for the MHA conference. And then the conference, of course, was from the 10th through the 12th. And we can probably cover that more at the hospital meeting, and that's all I had.
Okay, Dan?
Okay. December 9th through the 11th, 3 days, we had the AMC conference in St. Cloud. I'm on the Health and Human Services Committee. It was the platform committees that I attended. A lot of the focus was, of course, on our county-based purchasing discussion and getting that as one of our major priorities, and we seem like we've got a great deal of support. Also discussion about how the procurement process for the other counties is very involved too, not just the county-based purchasing part of it. On the 12th, back here in Pipestone, we had our Pipestone Area Coalition meeting. One of the projects that the young people do around the holiday time is going into the liquor stores, and actually they're very involved in positive messaging. So they'll put tags and hangers and so forth on bottles, emphasizing the fact that 90 or 95%, whatever, people do not buy alcohol for minors. So that's part of the positive branding that they do. On the 13th, we had our special budget meeting we're all aware of. On the 16th, our SMOC annual meeting that was held in Laverne this year had a report on our facilities. Of course, one of the major accomplishments of SMOC this year was the completion of our new Head Start facility in Worthington and getting that staffed up with personnel, so that's all working quite well. On the 18th, then, we had our Southwest Health and Human Services meeting up in Marshall. Probably the main takeaway, and I'll leave some for you as well too, Les, but we had our director's annual review. Beth's review went very positive. She's very well received, and she's doing a great job for us. Also, we finalized budgets at that meeting as well too. I think that was really the major things we did that day. Anything that I missed in there, Les?
We talked about the refugee.
Oh, yes. Program. Yes. Yep. They introduced the ordinance or the resolution that we passed last week, and where Beth and her staff explained the nuances of that resolution. So, okay, that concludes my report.
Okay. Les, you got anything there?
Okay, on the 2nd of December, we had planned ops, and Pete reported that at the December hospital meeting. That night we had TNT here in the commissioner's room. On the 5th, we had Prime West. Really not a lot to report on the December meeting.
Other, again, of the expansion counties that they're going to be joining our next meeting, and they're going to be members of Prime West, and they will be able to vote, but not on all issues, just on issues that don't have.
They can't vote on any financial issue.
Yes.
Is that just for a short period of time or for?
Until the procurement is settled.
Yeah, and the reason for that being that until we can actually do the procurement, they don't have any financial stake in Prime West. So once they're full-fledged, they're members, but they're not voting members until we can actually provide services for the counties.
And then on the 7th, township annual meeting was attended. Luke and Bruce was there, the annual event. Then on the 8th through the 11th, AMC conference up in St. Cloud. A couple of sessions that we went to were very interesting. One of them was a packed house, so it's a heated issue all over on the ditches. So that's a very interesting meeting. On the 11th, when I got back, was called into the hospital for a quick plan ops meeting. And then that night, I was in Laverne for Southwest Mental Health. On the 13th, we had budget meeting here. On the 16th, we had Southwest Pick in Marshall. Kind of closed out the year and started some things for next year. And Dan just talked about Southwest Mental Health on the 18th. And I left the meeting early because I had to go the other end of the building for radio board and didn't get to participate on best evaluation outside of giving a report.
Yep, and it was, like I said, very satisfactory.
And then on the 19th, had a meeting here in Steve's office with Scott Johnson from Southwest Mental Health on their building needs, and Chris was in attendance, Steve and Scott. And then on the 23rd, I went to Morris for CPT.
Okay. Chris?
Monday the 2nd at Lincoln Pipestone Safe Roads Coalition. We met at the EMS building here in Pipestone. Lauren, the chair, talked about how one of the other Safe Roads Coalition she's on between Lyon and Cottonwood, and they're able to get shuttle services funded for their county fairs. So for like the beer gardens and any concerts they had, they're able to get a free service provided, but it took very little. They have a little bit of money they can throw towards that, but they also raised a little bit of money locally too. But we're looking at maybe seeing if like Haley's Hideaways might be able to do something like that, to look to see if we can get something here this summer. Just worked on, there's more school involvement this time. Edgerton School was there and Pipestone School was there, and so just kind of getting more faces involved with the group and whatnot. And later that night we had a Truth and Taxation here. Was up Monday and Tuesday for AMC annual conference up in St. Cloud. Sat in the Transportation Infrastructure Committee meeting. Margaret Donahoe from Transportation Alliance was there and went over her proposals on trying to get a bunch of different groups together, a bunch of different coalitions together to try to get some funding. So I've heard pretty much the same spiel you did, and so, which I think she has got a pretty good plan there, and I think we'll probably start seeing that here soon. Also sat in the MCIT Board of Directors meeting. The one big takeaway from that is all reinsurance companies are pulling away from MCIT, but not only MCIT, as well as a bunch of cities, pretty much any public entity now doesn't have any options for reinsurance. So it's big. It's going to be a big hurdle for public entities here moving forward.
So they don't currently have any, or?
All reinsurance at the beginning of this calendar year pulled away from public entities, cities, MCIT.
And the reason for that was the exposure through the law enforcement.
Correct, and that's mainly the driving issue behind that is law enforcement issues, so, and settlements there. Also sat in growing your bottom line using clean energy for cost savings. Administrator Ewing was also in there. The guys that presented weren't the ones that were supposed to present, so we didn't quite get the.
They're winging it.
They winged it, so we didn't get the presentation we needed. So then Wednesday the 11th, PCMC Executive Committee meeting. We talked about what we moved forward with was the Senior Life Solutions. We met with Bruce and I met with one of the reps there.
I think we had.
It was. Then we also had that special meeting, the board meeting on the 17th, and regular PCMC board meeting as well. Well, that was rescheduled. And then, like Les mentioned, on the 19th, we met here with Scott Johnson. And I had a number of them, my meetings canceled because of the timing of the holidays and weather, so that's all I had.
Okay, thank you. I had a few things. The second Truth and Taxation meeting, everybody else was at that as well. The second, we also had a Plan Ops meeting, pretty much normal discussion there. 7th, the Township meeting, Les and Luke kind of mentioned that. The 11th, we had PCMC Executive meeting, Chris and I were there, and then later after that, we had a quick Plan Ops meeting with Les and I. We had to go look at some things in the building. That was kind of a last-minute deal, but and then on the 13th, we had our budget meeting, and on the 17th, well, the regular PCMC board meeting, but that's all I had for December. So. Anything else to come before the board? Tyler, you have anything? You're kind of a late, join us late here, but. All right. Anybody care to?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, Les made the motion.
Second.
Chris, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.
Hour and 2 minutes.
Nice.
Not bad for a
Good
rookie.
start to the year.